Barbara Jean, with her newfound vitality, realized that the adoration she sought was never about the shape of her body, but about the connections she maintained. Reba, in her honesty, had shed a different kind of weight, the burden of judgment that had clouded her perspective. And the others, caught in the web of their own human frailties, found that love was not a performance to be staged, but a quiet, constant presence that endured through every fluctuation of life. They would still eat their pizza. They would still bicker over games. They would still worry about the passing of time. But they would do it with the comfort of knowing that, beneath the skin, the person they loved was the same one who had stood by them all along. Life was not about achieving a static state of perfection, but about the resilience of the bond they shared, a bond that was, in its own imperfect way, as enduring as it was beautiful. They ascended the stairs, leaving the worries of the day behind, ready for whatever tomorrow might bring, together as they were meant to be. The quiet of the house had been replaced by a subtle, creeping sense of dread. It started in the kitchen, a place that had always been the heart of the home, but lately, it felt more like the epicenter of a localized disaster. The woman in question was acting entirely out of control, moving through the rooms with an efficiency that was as impressive as it was alarming. She was like a locust, descending upon the pantry and the refrigerator with an appetite that defied logic. She had consumed everything within the house, leaving behind nothing but empty wrappers and a profound sense of bewilderment. Standing in the center of the kitchen, the members of the household looked at the remnants of their life with wide eyes. Even the salt and pepper shakers, once quaint decorative items on the table, stood entirely empty, their contents seemingly vanished into thin air. There was a desperate need for intervention, but none of them wanted to be the one to bear the burden of the conversation. "Do you not think it is time you tell her that she has eaten far too much?" one of them whispered, looking toward the others. "No, you tell her," the response came back sharp and defensive. The tension was palpable. They stood in a circle, the weight of the situation pressing down upon them. They decided to leave the fate of the conversation to chance, turning to the ancient and reliable method of resolving disputes. Rock, paper, scissors. "Ben, you know you are going to lose," a voice noted, laced with the certainty of past experiences. "Not this time. 1, 2, 3. A collective groan filled the air as the results were revealed. "Dang it, how do you always beat me?" the loser lamented, frustrated by the recurring pattern of defeat. "Because you always pick scissors," the winner replied with a smirk. "Of course I do. It is my system. So you will tell her?" "Yeah, fine." "No, I do not want to." "You tell her. Come on, you tell her. Please, please, please." The refusal was absolute. There was a strong conviction that, perhaps, a woman could convey such a delicate message without appearing as though her only concern was the appearance of the person involved. It was a complex dance of social expectations and self-preservation. "By the way, you have been looking hot lately," one mentioned, hoping to soften the blow of the request. "Oh, you," the other replied, blushing slightly despite the gravity of the situation. The decision was made and the approach was set. They would confront the situation with care. As the conversation unfolded, the subject of their concern entered the room, radiating a newfound energy that seemed disconnected from the hunger they had witnessed. She carried with her the spoils of her latest acquisition, a free pizza, despite their protestations that they did not need it. "Luigi does not have to roll it out of the bed every morning," she remarked, her tone light and oblivious to the collective exhaustion of her family. The realization settled over the room. They were concerned, not just about the food, but about the deeper changes occurring within her. There was an obsession with health, with power smoothies, and with a regime that seemed to be consuming her identity. The frustration boiled over in a moment of dramatic flair, a plea to drop the patterns that were causing such discord. It was an expression of deep care, a fear that she was trying to change too quickly, perhaps even hurting herself in the process. Why? What happened to you? What is different? The question hung in the air, desperate for an answer. Then the vision appeared. It was as if a dream had taken root in the waking world. I am here, and I am thin, she announced, her voice echoing with a strange, transformative pride. But the thinness felt fragile, a stick, and the accompanying attitude felt shallow. The nightmare continued, looping in the mind. The roots of the past were tangled with the aspirations of the present. The life she was leading was changing at a pace that left others breathless. She was a single mother who worked too hard, who loved her children with an intensity that never ceased. Her hands were gentle, and she possessed the heart of a fighter. She was a survivor. But in the midst of this survival, there was a friction, a misunderstanding of what it meant to be healthy and what it meant to be whole. The next morning brought a shift in the routine. She refused the traditional breakfast, opting instead for a power smoothie, and declared her intention to go for a power walk. The skepticism from the others was immediate. They worried about her, about the intensity of her new lifestyle. They saw it not as strength but as a potential for harm. Yet, she remained steadfast, her resolve seemingly unbreakable. As the day progressed, the focus shifted to the gym. It was here that a new character entered their lives, a trainer who seemed to have become the pivot point of her entire world. The others looked on, observing the change with a mixture of awe and resentment. She was different. She had lost weight, she had toned up, and she was, as they put it, new pretty. The conversation turned to the nature of this change. Is it true that when you lose a bunch of weight you want to do, bounce, bounce? The question was asked, a mixture of curiosity and thinly veiled jealousy. The tension grew. There was a desire to protect, to understand, and perhaps, to reclaim the version of her they had known before. The suggestion was made to visit the gym, to meet this trainer who seemed to hold so much sway over her life. You should come down to the gym and meet Jordan, my trainer, she insisted. Seriously, he will change your life. He is so much more than a personal trainer. He taught me how to work out and eat right. The skepticism was not easily quelled. The idea that a trainer would influence movies she watched or clothes she wore seemed excessive. The connection she felt to this man was profound, yet to the outsiders, it felt like an intrusion. They were protective, concerned that the man was too influential, that he was taking a place that did not belong to him. The decision was made. They would go to the gym. They would see for themselves if there was anything going on that threatened the fabric of their lives. The atmosphere at the gym was electric, full of people pushing their bodies to the limit. They observed the stretching, the heavy lifting, and the intense focus. Every movement was scrutinized. Was this normal? Was it necessary? When they finally confronted her, the air was thick with unspoken accusations. They believed there was an affair. They believed she was changing for the wrong reasons. The confrontation was messy and raw. Jordan and I are not having an affair, she declared, her frustration evident. He is gay. The revelation was like a sudden gust of wind clearing the fog. The absurdity of their suspicions became clear. The physical contact that they had interpreted as romantic was nothing more than the technical adjustments of a trainer guiding his client. The relief was palpable, but it was accompanied by a deeper realization. The struggle had not been about the trainer at all. It had been about the fear of change. It had been about the insecurity that arises when someone we love transforms in ways we do not fully understand. They had seen her new body, her new energy, and they had felt a distance growing between them. They had felt threatened, not by the trainer, but by the person she was becoming. In the aftermath, there was a moment of clarity. The confession was made, an admission of the jealousy and the desire to feel superior, to cling to the past because it was comfortable and known. It was a moment of true human connection, the kind that only comes after the dust of misunderstanding has settled. She looked at them, and for the first time they looked at her, really saw her. She was still the same